Marcus Chen stood frozen in his living room, his daughter's cereal spoon suspended midair as she pointed at the television screen with trembling fingers. The woman being interviewed wore an elegant navy suit, her hair professionally styled. A complete transformation from the rain-soaked barefoot stranger he'd found collapsed on the sidewalk just 5 nights ago. But those eyes, those same terrified, desperate eyes, he'd never forget them. "Daddy," 7-year-old Emma whispered, her voice barely audible over the morning news anchor's introduction. "That's her. That's the lady you saved." What Marcus didn't know yet was that his simple act of kindness was about to change both their lives forever, in ways he never could have imagined. If you believe in the power of kindness and want to see more heartwarming stories like this, like button and subscribe to Hopeful Stories. Your support helps us share more inspiring tales that remind us of the good in humanity. Now let me tell you how this incredible story began. The rain came down in sheets that Thursday evening, turning the city streets into rivers of neon reflections, and making Marcus's double shift at Romano's diner feel endless. His feet ached, his back screamed for relief, and all he could think about was getting home to Emma, who was staying with Mrs. Patterson next door. At 42, Marcus had learned that life as a single father and a waiter meant sacrificing comfort for survival, and dreams for duty, and sleep for his daughter's future. The tips had been decent that night, enough to maybe finally fix Emma's bicycle or buy her those art supplies she'd been eyeing at the discount store. As he locked up the diner's back entrance at 11:30, pulling his thin jacket tighter against the storm, Marcus was already mentally calculating how to stretch his paycheck through another 2 weeks. That's when he saw her. She was huddled against the brick wall of the alley, her expensive-looking dress soaked through, her designer heels lying abandoned beside her like artifacts of a life interrupted. But it was her face that stopped Marcus. Cold, the bruise blooming purple along her jawline, the split lip, the absolute terror in her eyes as she looked up at him. She couldn't have been more than 25, and she was shaking so violently that Marcus could see it even through the rain. His first instinct, honed by years of protecting Emma from an unpredictable world, was to call the police. But when he pulled out his phone, she grabbed his wrist with surprising strength, her voice breaking as she whispered, "Please, no police. He'll find me. Please." Something in her desperation resonated with Marcus's own memories of his late wife Sarah's final months of feeling helpless and trapped, of knowing that sometimes the systems meant to protect us fail. Against every practical voice in his head screaming about stranger danger and bad decisions, Marcus made a choice that would alter both their destinies. He helped her to her feet, steadying her as she winced with each step, and guided her the 3 blocks to his modest apartment. Emma was safe with Mrs. Patterson, which meant he could offer this stranger temporary refuge without endangering his daughter.
Yes.
The young woman didn't speak during the walk, just kept glancing over her shoulder as if expecting demons to emerge from the storm. Once inside, Marcus gave her his only towel, his bathrobe, and a cup of hot tea, while keeping a respectful distance. He didn't press for her story. Years of working tables had taught him to read people, to know when someone needed space versus intervention. Finally, after 20 minutes of silence broken only by the rain against the windows, she spoke. Name was Olivia Hartwell, and she'd just escaped from her fiancé, a man whose family wealth and connections had turned him into a monster she'd been too afraid to leave until tonight. The engagement party had been that evening, 50 guests, champagne, the perfect fazan, till she'd overheard him on the phone making arrangements that made her blood run cold, plans that involved controlling every aspect of her life after marriage, including cutting her off from her career and family. Marcus listened without judgment as Olivia explained how she'd fled during the party, running in her heels until they broke, hiding in alleys, terrified that every car passing might be him searching. She'd left everything behind, her phone, her purse, her identity, because staying meant losing herself completely. As a father to a daughter, Marcus felt rage building in his chest at the thought of anyone treating a woman this way. But more than rage, he felt an overwhelming need to help. The same need that had driven him to work 3 jobs after Sarah died to give Emma a stable life. He told Olivia she could stay the night, that tomorrow they'd figure out a plan, that she was safe now. What he didn't tell her was that tomorrow he'd have to choose between his daughter's security and a stranger's salvation. between the safe path and the right one, and that this choice would test everything he believed about the kind of man he wanted to be. 5 days later, Marcus had nearly forgotten about the mysterious woman who'd vanished from his apartment before dawn that Friday morning, leaving only a hastily written note that said, "Thank you for seeing me as human. I'll never forget your kindness." Life had returned to its familiar rhythm of early mornings with Emma, rush breakfasts, school drop-offs, and endless diner shifts. That Sunday morning, he'd actually slept past 7. Miracle Ann was making pancakes while Emma watched. Her favorite morning program, a news show that mixed current events with human interest stories. He was flipping a pancake when Emma's gasp made him look up. The spatula clattered to the floor as he recognized the woman on screen, but this wasn't the terrified, bruised stranger from the alley. This was Olivia Hartwell, tech entrepreneur and founder of Safe Haven, a revolutionary app designed to help domestic violence survivors escape dangerous situations and connect with resources. The anchor was interviewing her about her company's recent $20 million funding round and her upcoming keynote speech at the National Women's Safety Conference. But then the interview took an unexpected turn. Olivia leaned forward, her composure cracking slightly as she said, "I need to use this platform to find someone. 5 days ago, I was in the worst moment of my life, and a stranger showed me kindness. When he had every reason to walk away, a waiter named Marcus, I don't even know his last name, gave me shelter, safety, and dignity when I had nothing. If you're watching this, Marcus, I need to thank you properly and tell you that your compassion reminded me why I started Safe Haven in the first place." Emma grabbed Marcus's hand, her eyes wide with excitement and pride. "Daddy, you're famous. You're a hero." But Marcus felt something else entirely, a mixture of embarrassment, disbelief, and a strange sense that the universe had just shifted beneath his feet. His phone, which he'd left charging on the counter. Olivia's team had tracked him down through Romano's diner, and by that evening, a sleek black car was parked outside his building, something that had never happened in his entire 10 years living there. Olivia stepped out wearing jeans and a simple sweater. When Emma opened the door, she immediately hugged Olivia like she was family, and Marcus watched. Something in Olivia's carefully constructed armor crack. Over dinner pizza that Olivia insisted on ordering, the real story emerged. Olivia had grown up in foster care, had built her tech company from nothing, and had nearly lost everything to a man who'd isolated her from everyone who cared about her. Marcus's willingness to help without expecting anything in return had given her the courage to reclaim her life. She wanted to give something back. She offered Marcus a position as Safe Haven's Director of Community Outreach, a role that would pay 3 times his current salary and allow him to help others facing the same desperate situations. More than that, she'd established a college fund for Emma that would ensure she'd never have to choose between dreams and financial security. Marcus felt tears burning in his eyes as he looked at his daughter, who was chattering excitedly about all the art supplies she could buy, completely unaware of how profoundly their lives had just changed. But what moved him most wasn't the money or the job opportunity. It was Olivia's final words as she prepared to leave that night. "Marcus, you saw me at my lowest, when I was nobody, when helping me could have put you and Emma at risk, and you chose kindness anyway. That's not common, that's not ordinary. That's the kind of humanity that changes the world, one person at a time. I want you on my team because Safe Haven isn't just about technology, it's about people like you who believe that everyone deserves dignity, safety, and a second chance." As Marcus tucked Emma into bed later that night, she asked him if he was going to take the job. He realized that for the first time since Sarah died, he wasn't just surviving anymore, he was being offered the chance to thrive, to build something meaningful, to show Emma through actions rather than words, that doing the right thing, even when it's hard, even when it costs you something, is always worth it. He kissed her forehead and whispered, "Yes, sweetheart, we're going to help a lot of people together." This incredible story reminds us that every act of kindness, no matter how small it seems, has the power to create ripples that change lives in ways we never expect. Marcus's simple decision to help a stranger in need not only saved Olivia, but opened doors to a future he never imagined possible. If this story touched your heart, please show your support by liking this video and subscribing to Hopeful Stories. We share real tales of compassion, courage, and the beautiful connections that make us human. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and join our community of believers in the power of hope. Together we can spread more light in this world. Thank you for watching, and remember, you never know when your kindness might change someone's entire life.